How's it going, guys? Stas here. Welcome back to another video. Got my good old double espresso. How could I not, right? Cheers. Happy Friday. I appreciate you all for tuning in as well. We have a lot to talk about today, from stocks to charts to what I'm looking to do and overall where my head's at in this market. So guys, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe, and join my Patreon if you want to keep up with my actual portfolio updates, my trades, investments, and if you want to be a part of my private Discord, it's all linked down below on Patreon, or go to stasurfs.com/Patreon, or check out the link in the comments. And now, cheers again, guys. Take a sip of your coffee and let's dive into it. So, it is about noon on the East Coast right now on this beautiful Friday, and all the indices, well, are all over the place, right? Another mixed bag day for the stock market, as the Dow's up about 0.25%, not too much in the green. Same with the S&P, a little less than 0.25% in the green, as the Russell is down 0.75%. And the Qs are pretty much at break even, down slightly, ever so slightly, 0.05% on the day. And we have the VIX down about 3%. Oil's down, both Brent and WTI. And silver and gold, they're creeping down as well. So again, mixed bag day overall for the stock market. We have the metals moving down, oil's moving down. It's one of those days, right? And we can see, looking at SPY, if I zoom in a little bit, what we talked about yesterday still stands today. You guys can see on SPY, we're slowly starting to take out this channel on the 4-hour time frame, which we have been in this little downward, sideways channel, whatever you want to call it, for a couple of weeks now. We're finally starting to break through, and we're noticing this cup and handle is starting to play out. We actually have a golden cross as well, and we're above these moving averages on the 4-hour chart. So we're a stone's throw away from all-time highs. The bulls are finally coming alive here on SPY after about a month and a half of us, again, being in this downtrending channel, sideways channel, more so a downtrending channel. And on the Qs, if I pull this up, let me show you this, guys. We're still in that downtrending channel. We're not actually breaking out yet like SPY. We're a little behind SPY, but I think the Qs are going to catch up pretty soon here, man. I think we're going to break out, and I think 730, 735 is that breakout spot, and that might test, probably not today, but at some point next week, we'll be able to test that, and maybe just maybe break right through. So at this point, guys, on Friday, again, it's a mixed bag. Stocks are going all over the place, but overall, the indices look strong still. You know what I mean? SPY's starting to break through. The Qs are right there. Even though the Russell's down, I mean, guys, we just hit all-time highs a couple days ago. This chart looks phenomenal. Same with the Dow. The Dow just hit 53,300 a couple days ago, earlier this week. We then saw a pullback a couple days after, and now we're slowly climbing out, above the 50 SMA. We're climbing after the pullback. So all the indices look strong, and I suspect that will continue here, as my overall theory, guys, heading into the midterms is Trump is going to do everything he can do to keep the market propped up, to keep the market near all-time highs, at all-time highs, and oil prices down, inflation down, gas prices at the pump down. My theory is he's doing anything he can do before the midterms, right? And there's a lot of theories that, after the World Cup, Trump's going to go nuts on Iran, but I don't necessarily think that's true. I think after the midterms, potentially that could happen. But between now and the midterms, I think he's going to do whatever he can do to keep things as smooth sailing as possible. So with that being said, guys, let's take a look at Meta, talk about some other stocks here that I'm looking at, and overall where my head's at in this market with these stocks. So Meta is up another 6.4% today, now marking over an $130 rebound off the low from just about, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, guys. We hit 540. Now we're trading at 672, up 25% in about 2 weeks. And at this point, it's the moment of truth on the charts for Meta. Meta's been struggling all year. You guys know that. We've been downtrending, and each time we've tested the top of this channel, well, we've gotten rejected. And that's where we are again. We're testing the top of this channel where we got hit back in April, back in February, back in October, right? So this is a big spot chart-wise, and maybe with these catalysts that we've gotten, guys, maybe this actually starts to break out this time, but we're not fully there yet. And Meta's due, guys. Meta is due for a big rebound. I mean, we've already gotten it, 25% off the lows in 2 weeks, but it's due for an even bigger breakout, in my opinion. But is it now? Will it be down the line, down the road this year, maybe early next year? I don't know. But again, things are shaping up strongly for the stock, especially fundamentally speaking. So we got news yesterday regarding, their AI model. Now we're hearing things about chips from Meta. So let me pull this up here. We'll break down what B of A is saying. They actually reiterated a buy on Meta, and I believe they raised their price target. So let me show you guys what's going on here. And full disclosure, I own Meta. I've been a shareholder now for, I forget how long, this go around, maybe around a year, maybe a little less, but I've owned Meta over the years on separate occasions. I've gotten in, I've gotten out, taken profits. Now I'm back in, and I think this will ultimately be a $1,000 stock in due time. Not this year or probably next year either, but in due time, I think Meta is going in that direction. And B of A has an $835 price target, which is a 12-month price target, and they reiterated a buy rating on Meta. And we can see here their analyst, Justin Post, cited an internal memo reviewed by Reuters indicating Meta is building a custom silicone chip as part of efforts to add 14 gigawatts of total compute capacity in 2024 and 2027. And the memo stated Meta has deployed 1 gigawatt of capacity so far in 2026 and expects to deploy 5.5 gigawatts in the second half of the year. So B of A, they're estimating the 2026 cost per gigawatt at approximately $22 billion based on $145 billion in CapEx compared to the firm's previous estimate of $45 billion per gigawatt for 2026. The 6.5 gigawatt capacity growth cited in the memo exceeds B of A Securities' estimate of 2.6 gigawatts, right? And the firm notes that building capacity at below $30 billion per gigawatt could offer favorable economics compared to its estimates for Amazon and Google, their annual cloud revenues per gigawatt at $10 billion to $16 billion, right? So this is great news for Meta, guys. And B of A Securities also referenced recent SpaceX capacity deals that could range from $40 to $50 billion per year per gigawatt, And the analysts acknowledged that not all capacity is built the same, right? But suggested Meta may have achieved significant cost savings in its capacity deployment strategy, which again is major news, and these efficiency gains align with Meta's impressive gross profit margin of 82% and overall phenomenal financial health. You guys know Meta when it comes to their balance sheet, right? Their finances in general, fairly strong, and that's always been the case. Sometimes in some periods it's been stronger than others, but Meta is usually a financially well-ran company. You know what I mean? And in other recent news, Meta has announced the groundbreaking of a new data center in Alberta, representing an investment of over 13 billion Canadian dollars. And this facility is optimized for AI workloads and will be Meta's first in Canada and its 33rd globally. So we're getting a lot of news regarding their custom silicone chips. They're breaking ground in Canada, right? And again, their AI model, they're looking to compete with, obviously, Google, Anthropic, We talked about that yesterday, OpenAI. So Meta continues to run, and these types of catalysts, guys, it's not guaranteed, but these could cause the stock to have legs. This move could have legs further than what people think. And granted, it is a little overbought. RSI is red, but this is the best, news cycle, if you will, for Meta that we've had in recent memory, right? In months at this point. I can't remember the last time we've had all these catalysts at once. So maybe this stock does start going back to back to the 700s, but we're not there yet. And again, keep in mind, we're in this downtrending channel. We're still in it. You guys got to watch for not only this channel to break out, but really we need to take the highs out from April. April is a big resistance spot at about 680, 690. And if we're able to get out of there, this could really take off. 700, maybe further than that. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, guys. That's it for Meta for now, and we'll do another update. We'll keep an eye on it as always, as I'm keeping an eye on Costco, ticker COST. And hold on a second, guys. My pants are feeling a little weird here, a little TMI there. I gotta fix my pants for a second. But Costco is down now almost 20% from where we were in, I think, mid-May. Mid to late May, actually. We hit about 1,100 a share. Now Costco's down to 910. It's almost in a bear market, down 20%. And look, the chart by no means looks strong, right? We're still under these moving averages, still looking like a falling knife, you could argue. But Costco, historically, man, always trades at a premium, like I've said, and it's one of those stocks, genuinely, that each time it falls 20%, 25%, people buy the stock, no matter what it seems like. It's one of those blue chip stocks that, like clockwork, each time it's down 20%, buyers start to step in, and we're heading towards that number now, guys. I don't think this goes much lower than $850, $900 a share. Now we're at $913, and as you pull the layers back, you're going to realize, okay, this stock looks strong on the chart still. It's maybe PE wise, it's arguably a little frothy, but again, it always trades at a premium, and buyers come in each time it drops 20, 25%, like clockwork, right? I've been tracking the stock for years, right? And each time it sees a sell-off like this, a lot of buyers come in. So I think this time is no different. I think now is a decent time to start scaling into Costco. And if you think about it, fundamentally speaking, right, it's a very strong business. Very strong business. They have pricing power when it comes to their memberships, right? Look, I'm paying $120, $130 a year for Costco right now. I have I think the executive membership. Guys, I would pay $200 a month, They have the pricing power, and they're not just going to ratchet up the price like that, but they can over time, slowly but surely, right? Which makes their cash flow, which makes their revenue, which makes their, profits super predictable. Not 100% predictable. We can't see the future, right? But they have that lever that they can pull, and they can increase it every so often, and people aren't canceling their Costco memberships, guys. Very predictable business model here, which makes it a great longer-term investment, but even here in the short term, I think we're due for a snapback, right? So Costco, ticker COST. And by the way, guys, hit that like button, man. If you're still here, if you're watching, if you're finding value, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe as well. I think 50% of you guys on YouTube and Facebook watch the content, but you're not subscribing, you're not hitting that follow button, and that needs to change, guys. Come on, we're on the way to 100,000 subs and followers on YouTube and Facebook, and I'm going to need each and every one of you to hit that subscribe button. So, Hims and Hers looks interesting. I think this stock could be on its way to $40 a share. I think this gap, I know it's slowly starting to fill. And if you guys take a look, Hims has been crawling out of this downtrend for months. You know, we hit $13, which is crazy to say, $13 back in February. Now we're at 33, making higher highs, higher lows, and the next main resistance right now is $40 a share, 38, $40, which that's where the stock was back in the end of last year before it completely cut in half and some. I think that gap, like I said, is filling right now, and that's the main point of, or the moment of truth, if you will. Main point on the chart is $40, 38, $40. I think, again, we could run another little bit until we get there, and that's the big spot that's going to test. And if it takes 40 out, guys, I think Hims could be going even higher, right? And Amazon, I'm eyeing up for leap still. Amazon looks pretty good on these charts. It looks like we have an inverse head and shoulders clearly starting to form. We have a golden cross on the horizon, and we're actually pushing above both moving averages on this 4-hour chart. So in my opinion, guys, Amazon, I think the ship's about to sail for this move. I think we're going to go 250, 260 in the short term. I think it's totally possible, and maybe it happens heading into earnings on the 30th of this month. At the end of this month, we have earnings from Amazon, so I'm excited about that. Ticker AMZN, and MercadoLibre. Guys, I'm finally green on MercadoLibre. It's about freaking time. I started buying this stock in December, and I've been averaging down all year. I just bought more at $1,530, $50 a share roughly after earnings, and this is why I bought more. I mean, that overreaction after earnings was exactly that, an overreaction. It got all the way down to under $1,500 a share. For what? For what? I mean, they're investing into the business for the future. You know, yeah, their free cash flow, their margins are taking a hit, and investors were focusing way too much on that. That's a short-term problem. Why are they taking a hit? Because they're making all these strategic investments for the future. And I think this short-term hit we're seeing in free cash flow on the gross margins, I think it's just that, a short-term hit for long-term gain. And investors finally realize that, and the stock's up 20% off that low, and I think it's just getting started. Genuinely, man, I think MercadoLibre is just getting started, and the more you pull back these charts, the more you realize on the max chart, on the 3-year chart, MercadoLibre is definitely a hold, in my opinion. Or if you're not in it, or if you believe in the company, not telling you guys what to do, obviously, it's a buy in my eyes. I wouldn't mind buying more shares here myself, you know, but I kind of already fully built out the position, and now I'm letting it ride. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button. Again, make sure to subscribe and check out my Patreon if you guys want to keep up with my actual portfolio updates, trades, investments, and if you want to be a part of my private Discord, it's all linked down below, pinned in the comments, or go to StockSurfS.com/Patreon. And with that being said, cheers. I'll see you guys in the Patreon or in the next video. Peace out.